Welcome back to the Vigilant Geek podcast. This is part 2 of our podcast regarding the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Once again, my name is Andrew Puzak of Vigilant Geek Media.
And I am Holden ORME.
Also of Vigilant Geek Media. And with us today, we have New England comic Nathan Burke.
Yay!
Who's also the owner and operator of Hotcast Studios, where we currently record our show. So before we start again in regards to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I just wanted to see if we could get you to do a little impression I've seen you do live quite a few times in your comedy acts. It's no secret of anyone who's seen you perform that you do an incredible Stan Lee impression, and you know what better time, what more appropriate time for you to do this impression than here on the Vigilant Geek podcast.
So what would you like to know?
Well, actually, if you could start off by just telling me how you came up with the idea for Spider-Man.
A lot of people ask me how I came up with the idea for Spider-Man. So this one time I was watching a spider climb up the wall. So I thought to myself, how about Spider-Man?
And that's it, huh, Stan?
That's it. That's how I come up with all my ideas. I just look around the room and add man to it.
Interesting.
So there's a spider. How about Spider-Man? Oh, there's an iron. How about, Iron Man? Or there's a picture of my wife. How about the Incredible Hulk?
Oh, well, any new fantastic ideas lately?
Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, Lord. All right, can we get something new and original here, Stan?
Yeah,
How about this?
anything else?
The Thing.
Oh, Lord. Stan, something fresh here, something raw.
How about this? A superhero woman with the ability to control storms.
Oh, actually, Stan, that sounds pretty good. What would you call her?
Storm.
Oh, Jesus. Well, there you have it. We got Stan Lee in the house. Nathan Burke doing his impression here. God, I love that. It never gets old.
Ooh.
Oh, that was my phone going off. Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, so getting back to these films we were talking about, pardon me, the phone again. Fucking phone.
Phone's talking.
Well, I'm getting text messages here and I pressed the wrong button.
Mr. Popular.
All right, anyways, so we had talked about...
Mr. Popular.
Oh, hey, there's another one. There we
His
go.
superpower is that he's very popular.
He's got a lot of people reaching out to him, that guy. A lot of faces. So we...
A lot of villains don't want to fight him because he's so cool. It's like Stan Lee's him just working out his high school experience.
Yeah.
That's what they called me, Mr. Popular.
People would bring me free sandwiches.
Or at least that's what I would have liked to have happened.
So phase 2 ended with Ant-Man.
Originally, I wanted the show Superhumans. I had the idea for a man who could break cement blocks over his skull, and another person who was so flexible that they would warp their body through a tennis racket. But what I originally wanted to be on the show was actor Peter North. Peter North.
Okay.
Who had a superhuman skill
Which was?
of ejecting mass amounts of semen.
Okay. So,
As we all know, with great power comes great responsibility.
oh, right. And that is Nathan Burke
right.
doing his Stan Lee impression for us there.
We're not a PG-13 podcast anymore, I guess.
We were hoping to be, but not.
I can always cut that out.
No, we're not gonna cut that. That's gold. That's gold.
It's too
I
funny.
think I played it clean at least.
Anywho, so we're talking about Phase 2 ending this past week with Ant-Man, and we talked about how much fun that movie was. Another movie with a similar tone like Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have a lot of comedy thrown in the mix there. Paul Rudd did a fantastic job as Scott Lang. Now, Nathan, you one of your all-time favorite writers ended up co-writing that script, and you have a little background info that I found fantastic regarding
Mr. Fantastic. No, Adam McKay, actually, I just seeing the credits, I hadn't really read up on who wrote Ant-Man, but him and someone else, I really want to find out who the other writer was, but Adam McKay was a former Saturday Night Live writer who also went on to write a lot of things with Will Ferrell, like Step Brothers and the Anchorman movies he directed.
Comedy gold. Those are some of my favorite comedy movies, easily.
Absolutely, and he also wrote a lot of stuff, some of my favorite sketches from SNL. And I'm not 100% positive on this, but I think he wrote some of the weirder stuff that they wrote on SNL with Will Ferrell, like the Bill Brasky stuff, Bill Brasky sketches. I think I need to check on this, but he was around during that time.
Awesome.
The Mr. Tarkanian, Will Ferrell as the doctor, as like
some of my
dumb
favorite
doctor.
Some of my favorite material. Bring in Dr. Poop, and laugh at his name, but he may very well be the man that'll save your life.
And
sorry, I can't diagnose your daughter, but I can do the robot. That'll be $5,000.
He also did. A lot of people don't remember the digital shorts back in the late '90s. Like before, Andy Samberg and all those guys.
Ex-presidents, and was that before his time?
That was I can't. No, that was around the same time, but like Ambiguously Gay Duo.
Oh yeah. No, that was him.
I don't know if that was him, but that was around that time. He might have helped write on that, but I can't think of his name. The guy.
Those were funny.
The TV Funhouse with I can't think of the writer's name. Damn. No, I can't think of it, but.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
TV Funhouse. That was a separate.
Robert Smigel.
Yes, Robert Smigel. Thank you.
That's right.
Who also did the dog there?
Insult Comic Dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Triumph.
Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
That's stuff.
Conan fame, but
oh yeah. No, you won't find comedy gold like that again for a while, unfortunately.
But yeah, Adam McKay directed a lot of those digital shorts back in those days, which no one really remembers, and I can't find anywhere. So if anyone listening to this can provide me with a link to some of those digital shorts from the late 90s that Adam McKay directed.
Yeah,
those were hilarious.
Go ahead
and very bizarre.
If you can send that link to either nburke18@gmail.com
or at I am Nathan Burke or at Hotcast Studio.
Exactly. Any of those
Twitter
places
handles that I use.
That would just be phenomenal. So, interesting stuff there. One of the many reasons why Ant-Man has been such a success is the fantastic writing they did on that movie, too. So that can be accredited to Adam McKay, as well as others that we hadn't really researched.
Also, Paul Rudd is just a hilarious comedic actor.
He's
great. Yeah, he plays a good straight man. He doesn't try to be over the top hilarious. It's just
I think it's just like his personality as the character Scott Lang. I mean, he's so on point with it that just like him trying to get through life, like scraping by, like in the way he does it is funny enough.
Yeah, man, you don't lie to Baskin Robbins. Baskin Robbins always finds out.
Baskin Robbins will always find out, man. No, good stuff.
Yeah, that was in that you can tell that was like a lot of like Adam McKay stuff in there, just totally random, had nothing to do with the plot type of jokes that were just shoehorned in there. That he was just like, I'm gonna try to get this past Marvel probably.
and I loved it. I loved the fact that.
Did you see him on Conan?
I didn't.
He every time he's on Conan, every time Paul Rudd's on Conan, he plays the same clip from an 80s movie.
I've seen the video online. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he does it every time. He's probably done it it's in the teens, like that amount of time that he's played it. And he was on Conan this time, and he was like, Marvel's not going to let me do that. He's like, I know I do it every time. Marvel's not going to let me do that. So they started playing the clip to Ant-Man, and then it cut off, and it went to the clip.
You just can't get away from it.
Yeah. He's like, Marvel's going to get so mad at me.
That's priceless, though.
Yeah, that's still good publicity, though.
It is, because, you know, he's still
People are
going to
go to see him like, oh, he stuck it to the man. Not really, because everyone knows he's an Ant-Man anyway. Go see the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of opened the door for that, like the comedic.
They're pioneers in this whole comic book movie thing that's really exploded since CGI has just become so incredible. But before your Guardians of the Galaxy came out, you know, superhero movies sort of had the same tone. They were sometimes a little darker, but they never had that like real comedic tone to it.
Yeah, they take themselves very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel just wasn't afraid to do that.
Well, Iron Man had a lot of comedic qualities to it.
Well, yeah, when you have a character like Tony Stark that's
he's just naturally a wise ass and thinks he's the smartest man in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so charismatic at the same time. You can do a lot more with that as opposed to a stoic character like a Bruce Wayne or a Frank Castle, where you can really only approach that character one way. So Marvel has done a great job of identifying what characters they can play around with like that, and then executing that through films. And I suppose Iron Man was the first superhero movie to really start taking a different tone, and then the tone, completely changed by the time the Guardians of the Galaxy came along, which led way to Ant-Man being a somewhat action comedy, if you will.
Right. And then I guess another thing that Ant-Man and in tandem with Avengers Age of Ultron, what they're doing is they're now really expanding on the characters within the Marvel Universe. By the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, we have the new characters truly established: Falcon, War Machine, Scarlet Witch, Vision. I know there's like at least 4 of them. Yeah,
there's like 4 new Avengers that are going to be trained as sort of the junior varsity team. Which I'm sure every single one of them will be in Captain America Civil War, which we'll discuss momentarily when we get into Phase 3. Along with Ant-Man, the Wasp was supposed to be in Civil War. Apparently she's not anymore. I don't know why. But you're going to start to see an influx of all these characters from these Marvel flicks joining up together in future films. And this is a great segue to get into Phase 3 and some of the films we can look forward to for the upcoming 5 years or so.
Right. As of right now, Phase 3 hasn't really begun. This is going to be a real gossipy segment, but that's fine because we can be gossipy.
Oh, plus it's fun to think about upcoming films and weighing in on how we'd like to see them portrayed on the screen.
Or what direction they're going to go with the film, what the storylines may be.
Yeah, it's just fun to think about. So, the first confirmed Phase 3 film that we will witness is Captain America 3 Civil War.
Which might as well be Avengers 3 with all the Avengers characters that will be in this movie.
Exactly. This is the first time we're going to see the new Spider-Man that has been cast as Tom Holland. This is the first time we'll see him on screen.
The new Black Panther is going to be in there. Well, actually, just Black Panther in general. That Black Panther has never been featured. And that would be Chadwick Boseman. I'm not familiar with any of his work, but now if you're at a cocktail party and you're talking about all sorts of comic books and stuff, you can go ahead and say, hey, did you hear that Black Panther is going to be Chadwick Boseman? And then everyone would be like, oh, that's great. I'm going to have a sip of my drink.
I think one thing that's very understated about this whole thing, like the whole Avengers movie series, is like how unprecedented that is in film. Like to have so many different movies and so many different characters intertwine into different movies. How many has it been now? Like 10?
Oh, I mean, we get the list right here. There's been over a dozen.
Yeah,
I mean, almost 2 dozen movies.
And that's insane. That's never been done in cinematic history ever with anything.
Yeah,
and I think that people don't recognize that. It's like that's going to set the stage for so many things to come. Like because the big screen is sort of dying in a way to the small screen in like shows and everything.
Well, yeah, especially you get all those series and Netflix
great series, Netflix, yeah, and that's gonna kind of open the door for not just action movies, but you could even have dramas that intertwine with each other that have characters in different movies that go into the next movie
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think that Marvel is certainly
Spin-offs of
oh yeah,
Yeah,
Marvel's pioneers in this game. They are the first franchise or the first big corporation to really use these franchises like this. It's never been done. Obviously, DC is taking note of this and is trying to follow suit with their cinematic universe. But it's revolutionary. They have the large, massive amount of characters to do it with. Even with the X-Men being Fox properties, they still have enough characters to do this. And what's going to result is an amazing 2-part movie event where you're going to have all the Avengers, you're going to have Spider-Man, you're going to have Ant-Man and the Wasp, you're going to have all the Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's just amazing to think about. It's a great, amazing time to be a fan.
The fact that X-Men is a Fox property kills me, by the way.
Man.
It
Preaching
really
to the choir.
Because that's my favorite franchise is X-Men. My favorite, I grew up watching the X-Men animated series.
Oh, yeah.
And it kills me that they can't intertwine that legally.
Not yet,
because
anyways.
Of the studios.
Not yet. And I don't think we'll ever see any wiggle room from Fox either.
Well, I don't know what the statute of limitations on that. I mean, they couldn't have signed a contract for that long. It might have been lasted for...
When did that come out? Like 2000?
Yeah, they had it in 2000. I don't think they couldn't have just signed up the whole rights away. There had to be some sort of... I mean, it might be a long time. It might be something like 30 to 40 years. I mean, nobody's seen the contract, so you don't really know how long they actually had the agreement for.
But think about it this way. If Marvel hadn't have done that in the beginning, and Bryan Singer hadn't have taken the X-Men franchise to where he took it, we might not have a Marvel Cinematic Universe to discuss right now. So in a way, they had to spend a little to make a little, so to speak. And luckily, at least you still have those grouping of characters that are getting films. You talk about some of the films that came out during Phase 1 and Phase 2 that were not directly linked to Phase 1 and Phase 2. I mean, you got... X-Men Days of Future Past, which came out in Phase 2, which was a box office smash.
Good. That was my favorite X-Men movie.
It's so amazing.
First Class is really good.
First Class
X-Men First Class also that came out in Phase 1.
They're doing a lot of great things with the X-Men franchise.
Yeah,
I mean, some other ones that they didn't really... What they had to work to get back into... They had to make an agreement with Sony to get Spider-Man back in the mix, which... That's just a win-win for everybody. Everyone's going to make a lot of money because of that.
And fans will be happy because their cinematic universe is going to incorporate Spider-Man now. You're going to see him in a lot of different movies. He's going to have his own solo movie. He's going to be in Civil War. He's going to be in Infinity War.
Yeah, they referenced him in the end of Ant-Man.
I mean, they have a lot of continuity going on between things. I mean, watching the movies now, it almost has the same kind of feel as watching one of these primetime HBO shows where real great production value, just everything feels like a 2-hour-long episode in this thing called the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's got the same kind of,
and it's very bizarre and it's very new, and I think it's deserves a little credit for them to be doing all this with changing film.
Well,
the way films
just
are
completely
created.
Unprecedented because these actors are locked into these very long-term contracts.
Once you get one of those deals, you're set for life.
Pretty much, but at the same time, like you're not allowed to go do like, oh, well, I want to go make an independent film where I'm eating cake in front of a mirror. I guess they don't really have time to do that kind of stuff anymore. But at the same time, like they're really involved in something special here.
Yeah.
I know there are some actors that are starting to think about, when their last appearances are going to be. We have Hugh Jackman, who is going to be making one more Wolverine movie, apparently based on the Old Man Logan arc to some extent. It's going to be entitled Old Man Logan, I guess. So, go figure.
Man.
We have Chris Evans, who's sort of looking for a way out of Captain America right now.
God, man, why would you? What
else is?
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, they've been at it for like a little over 10 years. I think part of what I'm predicting is with the introduction of these new characters like Falcon and Vision and the Scarlet Witch, what they're going to do is eventually they're going to phase out some of these Avengers that are like stalwart Avengers, like the Avengers that were there in the beginning, and they're going to phase them out and they're going to replace them with these new characters.
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think anyone's really going away until the end of the Infinity War movies.
Yeah, that's going to be a game
Once
changer.
those finish, they're going to go ahead, they're going to hang up the tights, and they're going to let somebody else either take on the role, or they're going to organically come up with new characters to take up become part of the Avengers team. This is just a prediction,
and
that's how it usually goes anyway.
It's a good prediction, and it could be very well what happens. But what I'm wondering is, at that point, you look at the amount of films that they've created, 3 phases of movies. I mean, how much more is the public going to want to see on screen? Me, I'll watch these movies till the day I croak, but I'm also a huge fan. I could very well see them, the Marvel Cinematic Universe at least taking like a long intermission after Infinity War. I could be wrong. I'm probably gonna be wrong. They'll try to make a phase 4 somehow. I don't know. I mean, they have enough material. Once again, you look back at the source material, you look back at all the years and years and years of arcs that they've written, they can certainly keep making phases of movies for the next couple of decades at least.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they're going to want to, and if the public's going to want to see it. But
well, I think what's going to happen is a lot of these lesser known characters, like Moon Knight, or they might give the Punisher another shot, or might give Nova a try, or might even try something like Spider-Woman.
Yeah, they might get some of their stronger female characters more of a chance, because until we get Captain Marvel, which I think is, 2018, 2019?
Yeah, they have a release date for November 2nd, 2018.
Okay.
They have not casted Captain Marvel. They have not hired a director.
I hear Angelina Jolie's looking to direct that, and Charlize Theron wants the role.
I don't think they even have a script, but I think Charlize Theron would be excellent in that movie.
I think she would be the perfect Carol Danvers. She's a strong woman. She has played strong roles. If you've seen Mad Max yet, you definitely know that. If you've seen Aeon Flux, you know that as well. She can handle the tough female role in spades. So I hope that goes through. But yeah, not a lot in regards to news with that flick. But let's peer through some of these other films to be expected in Phase 3. So we have Civil War. We also have the Doctor Strange film with Benedict Cumberbatch, who is going to be an excellent Stephen Strange, I think. If you've seen him in Sherlock or in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek Into Darkness, the second Star Trek flick, he's definitely got the right demeanor for a Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange almost is kind of like, he's mystical, but he's kind of like an over-intelligent type of guy, kind of like a Sherlock Holmes in a way.
He's very well-informed.
Well-informed, absolutely.
He's in the know. He knows about stuff.
And Benedict Cumberbatch is the kind of actor that can play that character, like Mr. Know-It-All. He's perfect. So that'll be a film to look forward to. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. James Gunn is writing that script as we speak. He's also going to be directing the movie. That'll be something to look forward to. I'm sure we'll get to find out a little bit more about the Infinity Gems. Anytime you introduce a cosmic entity in the Marvel Universe, typically you find out a little more about what's going on with the Infinity Gems. Let's see. So after that, brings us to the Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. Then we're looking at Thor 3, Ragnarok.
Which is just hard to say.
It really is. It's like a tongue twister.
Thor 3.
Thor 3. Ragnarok. Once again, you're dealing with cosmic entities there. There should certainly be some mention of some Infinity Stones. And that brings us to Avengers Infinity War Part 1.
And then, this would be an enormous, almost a crossover event within movies that are crossover events within themselves. I imagine the movie's going to be around 3 hours long, and that'll just be Part 1. And then they're going to pack in all that Marvel goodness and then release Part 2 exactly a year later.
And if I could just say one more thing about this Infinity War nonsense, what I find just ultimately cool in regards to them throwing all these different Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy characters in the mix for that event. In addition to that, they are also going to include characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., such as Earthquake and Mockingbird.
John Tenta?
Possibly.
That's
I don't know who John Tenta is. But...
Earthquake.
Oh, the wrestler. Oh. Yeah, there was a wrestler Earthquake too, but I guarantee you that the Marvel
Will Jimmy
comics...
Hart be managing him?
The mouth from the South? I don't know.
Will he be teaming with Typhoon?
Very possible. Very possible. I would love to see WWE's Earthquake and Typhoon in the
Natural
Infinity
disasters,
War.
yeah.
Yeah, the natural disasters, man.
There should be a Marvel WWE crossover as one of them.
I'd probably have a heart attack right then and there, but that would be something. So
I've been very geekily playing this this cell phone game, WWE Immortals. It's like a fighting game. Everyone has superpowers.
Don't they give all these WWE stars, these main eventers, their own secret, like special powers?
Yeah, and it's like
it's actually really cool.
There's a lot of obvious ones, like Undertaker's obviously like a smooth transition into that.
Well, his gimmick is almost like exactly like something you'd have in a fighting game.
Yeah.
Or something you'd have in a comic book too. I mean, the Undertaker. Imagine him as a comic book villain, like he's kind of like a Grim Reaper type character that he'll give you a choke slam into a casket.
In fact, I think they actually did have an Undertaker comic book.
Oh, I believe it. They've had WWE comics before, definitely.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
he's definitely an easier one, or like him, or like a Kane, or a Mankind.
What are John Cena's powers?
Oh God!
I think like there's different characters, there's different offshoots.
He'll just stun you with an awesome rhyme.
You collect different cards that have like the different.
So they have different skins that.
So there's like more than pretty much, sort of. And
that's awfully involved for a phone
one of them's
game.
like a little. It's pretty cool. It's not bad. It's addicting, but it's one of them's like he's kind of like a Street Fighter type guy, but the other one's like a superhero, like a Superman type. Like Super Cena. So it's it's not bad. And there's like a Necromancer Undertaker skin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what he is in real life. He's actually
the dead man.
Yeah, he's got, I'm sure his
I
mansion is
like
patrolled by zombies and vampires.
Right.
I liked the era of the dead man when he was a badass biker. He drives stupid motorcycle.
That's probably the most unpopular version of the Undertaker.
Oh God, no! I despise that version. But
Stone Cold Steve Austin's in it as like he looked.
Was he throw beer cans at people?
He does.
No way.
Yeah, but he's like a frost golem of some. It's like Stone Cold, but he's like a. Like almost like a White Walker in Game of Thrones. Like he's like a frost zombie.
He like punches people and like snowflakes like fly into the air as like an effect.
Yeah. Well, pretty much.
Clearly, whoever invented this game is a genius.
Yeah. I think it's made by Mortal Kombat.
Awesome
people.
Yeah, Capcom. They make the best fighting games. Hands down.
It's actually very fun. And there's a Marvel version. There's like a Marvel game similar to it, I guess, that came out recently.
Yeah.
Phone game.
You hear that, Andrew? It's only for smartphones.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm still not getting a smartphone. I'm staying off the grid as much as possible.
But don't you want to go to work and be like, oh, I got some downtime. I'm going to fight people with my phone.
Well,
I'm thinking of downloading it, actually.
I got a Sega Game Gear at work for that, so that's okay. I rock it old school.
Really?
No, I really do.
You have a Game Gear at work?
I had one of those, but that was so long ago.
I keep it. I keep it at my work locker. I hope nobody from work's listening, but I rock that thing in between rounds at the plant. Yeah.
I had the Sega Nomad.
What the hell is that?
That was a big handheld device that, and I'll relate this back to X-Men. But it was because I played the X-Men Sega game on it relentlessly.
Oh, that was a good one.
It was a big, giant handheld thing.
Oh, but it played actual Sega Genesis games.
Yep, you put the Sega Genesis game in it, like an actual cartridge.
Oh, yeah,
and it had like probably an 8 battery pack on it.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
It was awesome, and I still have it. Like, it probably still works if I put batteries in it. But yeah, I used to play Greatest Heavyweights on it.
Oh, I love that game.
Don't run away.
Pansy, sucker. I'm so pretty. I'm gonna embarrass you.
The X-Men game, which was awesome. That X-Men game where you could play as Wolverine, Cyclops,
Storm,
Nightcrawler,
Nightcrawler, yeah.
yeah,
and Gambit.
And Storm.
Well,
right?
actually, then you had the ones that you can have them show up and help you. I guess
Right.
there was
Right.
only
Oh,
like
yeah.
four playable characters.
There was like a summon thing.
Yeah, so I guess the playable ones were Gambit, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine.
Yeah.
You gotta have Wolverine.
It's
You
a
gotta
decent
have.
game. That was a pretty good game.
It was pretty solid, man.
Yeah, Sega Genesis was really when like Marvel started having like decent video games. Like, I'm not even gonna say they're great, but I know like if you play any of the Marvel games from like early Nintendo or Super Nintendo, it's just the gameplay is just frustrating as hell.
Well, for one thing, there's just too much that you'd have to do to make it a good game for like those 8-bit, 16-bit games.
Yeah.
Well, there aren't too many like really legendary old video games that are really good. I guess we're getting off topic, but it's pretty good.
Oh,
stuff
sure
there.
there are.
Oh, and we will
Not
have
superhero stuff.
We're gonna
But,
have a massive. We're gonna have
Spider-Man Maximum Carnage was a really good one.
Oh, for Sega, right?
I think that was on all
That
platforms. It was that and Super
that
Nintendo.
generation, yeah. Yeah, that was that. I remember that game. That was pretty good.
and we'll have a major gaming podcast coming up. Within the next few weeks, I'm sure. But gentlemen, I suppose it's time to get back on task here and wrap up the rest of these films. So with that being said,
Go for it.
Well, we had talked about the Infinity War Part 1, and after that, apparently, there's going to be a Black Panther solo film along with Captain Marvel. We don't know too much about those right now.
Sorry to break up your Black Panther party.
She
Forrest Gump will be making.
Yeah, I don't even know what the.
cameo
I'm
in
not
that.
too familiar with any Black Panther storylines, but I mean, Black Panther falls into a lot of the pitfalls that Aquaman falls into, in the fact that he's a superhero character while also being a king and a ruler of an entire people. So I don't know how that'll go. A lot of people are really excited about this title, though. He's kind of your Batman / Aquaman king character who's like really smart. He's like really good at science. He can science things.
And the big part that not necessarily Black Panther, but his nation, his fictitious nation of Wakanda plays within the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the Marvel universe as a whole, is that the mystical element of vibranium, which is the metal that is used for Captain America's shield, among other things, throughout the Marvel U.
I always forget that.
Yeah, that was mined and found in Wakanda and only in Wakanda. So Black Panther sort of has this fictitious natural resource that he guards as well while guarding his nation and leading it. So there's that aspect too, which makes Wakanda an important place to know about within the Marvel Universe.
I have a elemental question about so vibranium is what Captain America's shield is made out of, yes, which not to be confused with adamantium,
Which is what Wolverine's skeleton is made out of.
So I think for a time I confused the two.
Oh, I mean, that's easy to do. Two different metals. And
what's stronger?
That's also a good question, and I'm sure it's been tested in Marvel arcs before. I personally don't have the answer to that, though. I don't know.
I'm kind of leaning towards adamantium. They don't really talk about vibranium all that much. Although,
well, it depends on what titles you read.
Yeah, because I mean, Wolverine has gotten into fisticuffs with Captain America before in the books.
It's always been a stalemate.
I mean, it'll scratch the shield, but it won't like cut it up. So it's kind of
gotcha.
In other words, we don't know, but that would really be something cool to see. Every time I've seen Cap and Wolverine get into a scuffle, it's always ended in a stalemate. So I don't really know.
I would like to know the atomic weight of adamantium and vibranium.
Well,
we?
Once again, that's something that I'm sure any creative team at Marvel could pull out of their ass for you.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I always wonder about, like, because they come up with these things, and I always want to know what the ranking is of these.
Yeah, well,
fictional elements.
It's important as if you're a writer, it's important that when you do create like a fictitious place or a fictitious item or element of some sort, to have some good background info. I mean, obviously, you create something, you're gonna create the backstory that goes along with it. But there's always going to be those fans out there that are going to want to ask those questions.
There needs to be like some element of reality, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be grounded in
absolutely.
Which I think they do a good job of, is grounding it in like some science, even though even if it's like ridiculous, like it's still.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
they make attempts to make it.
They make attempts to try to link it back to science, to like explain it in a way that would make some sort of sense, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. One of my big qualms I have in doing that is it seems like almost every character in comic books has been turned into a superhero due to radiation. And it's like, now that's obviously not the case for every character, but your Spider-Man and your Hulk and the radioactive Spider-Mans. Let me tell you a little something about radiation. If you're exposed to it, you will die. You will not turn into a superhero. You will fucking die. You're going to get radiation sickness. You're going to lose your hair. You're going to lose your teeth. Your skin's going to turn a weird color. You'll get cancer. So, when someone tells me, there's radiation and he turned green and now he's the Hulk. And it's like, yeah, well, you might turn green, but you're going to get radiation sickness and die.
It'll be less like the Hulk and more like the Hills Have Eyes.
Exactly.
Well, what's kind of interesting about that is different characters take on different powers and abilities based on the time period in which they're created. In the very early days, it was kind of an atomic era. The atomic bomb just became a thing. It was just unlocked. And, what else can it do? So you go ahead and you got Spider-Man being bit by radioactive spiders, and the power cosmic transforming the Fantastic Four. And then the mutants, human beings their DNA starts evolving, and these people get powers.
The whole mutant thing, yeah.
Yeah, and
mutant
then
genes, genealogy, and all that jazz.
And then from there it evolved to, all right, well, humanity's really involved with the genome and DNA and genetics, and then now that's a big cause of people being gifted with abilities, and I guess there's a couple other errors, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean, then you talk about like
And then there's the Cold War and everything like.
There's been so many great stories that have been based on that. The first one that comes to mind for me is The Dark Knight Returns. That's a great Cold War comic. But there's been a ton of touch upon that during that time period.
I can't think of who's the Weapon X Russian guy that's
Omega Red.
Yes,
Omega Red.
Yep.
Russians were bad guys. They were easy bad guys in comic books they still are, but they have been. There's always
in pro wrestling.
And in pro wrestling, oh yeah, you get like
wrestling.
what's his face? I can't think of his name right now.
The Iron Sheik.
Well, he was teammates. They had the
Nikolai Volkov.
Nikolai Volkov. Come on and sing the Russian national anthem.
Russians just make great bad guys. They just do. They were bad guys back then.
Bond movies.
I mean, anything. Even in this first season of Daredevil, the Russians were like a big adversary at the beginning.
They're the Joker to America's Batman, basically. Throughout time, they're just
I couldn't agree with you more on that. But hey, they serve their purpose, I guess.
The quintessential villain.
Exactly. And it's okay to pick on them because they pick on us too. It's not like other ethnicities.
It's brotherly love.
It's brotherly love. That's right. Well, I don't know if that's exactly how we want to put it, but
They're the Vegeta to our Goku, I'll say.
Yeah.
whatever that means.
That's a good anime reference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Holden got that one. He's our
Yeah, Holden got it. I know
Holden and
got
Nate are both anime guys. I'm out in left field on that one. So that's why we try to touch upon all different aspects of geekdom on the Vigilant Geek, because there's so many different little niches that different people are experts on. So good stuff, guys. So we talked about Phase 3. We also mentioned that the Infinity War is a two-parter. So after Captain Marvel, we just have Part 2 where the Infinity War wraps up.
And then the only thing that's announced after that so far, which I'm sure they're going to announce other movies, is the Inhumans. And the Inhumans are, I guess they originally appeared as part of characters that were introduced with the Fantastic Four book.
Absolutely, yeah, that's where they originated.
Their base origins are they are a group of human beings that were genetically experimented on by the Kree, and they look like normal humans until they go through a process called pterogenesis, where there's this element called Terrigen, I believe.
Terrigen mists.
Yeah, they go through the mists, and what it is people are selected to go through this process, and then what it does is it evolves these characters and gives them these incredible powers based on who they are, and they're very powerful, and they've actually just started being introduced, I believe, in season 2 of
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. And they actually had an arc in Marvel called the Inhumans arc, where they're really trying to introduce these characters and get them out there. A lot of stuff about the Inhumans is very interesting. Right now, I'm kind of finding their subject kind of dry. It's kind of new territory. It's this new property. There's so many different things that they could do with it.
How long? Do you know how long the Inhumans have been around before in Marvel Comics? Because I saw them sort of start popping up in story arcs at the turn of the new millennium, but I don't know when they originated. I was wondering if you might.
That's something I don't know. If I were going to wager a guess, I imagine they would have popped up sometime in the 80s. They have a lot of backstory, but they never really had books of their own. They're very powerful beings. They have their own feudal system where they follow a king. They have a main capital. It is called Adelon. It was a floating city, which I believe was hiding invisibly above Manhattan, and then something happened which caused an event so that it crashed into like the harbor in New York. Now they got this country that's independent, which is a city-state in the middle of New York Harbor, and they got these different things. They don't know where their king is. Black Bolt and his queen Medusa is kind of running the show. A lot of new Inhumans are showing up across the globe because they had Inhuman ancestors who interbreeded with humans, but they still had Inhuman qualities. And right now there's these Terrigen mist clouds like floating across the earth. It's going through, and then when these people with Inhuman genes, they go into a cocoon state, and those that are strong and worthy end up emerging from the cocoons with super-powered abilities, and others who don't make it, they end up just dying because they weren't strong enough to go through the process. Things are kind of chaotic for them right now as far as the books are concerned. They're really trying to push the books. It's something I want to get into, but I don't have infinite funds, so I'd much rather read things that I know for a fact are going to be good. I mean, I'm always trying to read new stuff, but at the same time, it's just, if you're reading a book and if it doesn't have you interested within the first 4 issues, you really shouldn't feel bad about not reading it. I don't know. That's just my personal feelings on this.
No, I agree. I personally haven't had a chance to get into the Inhumans either, but what I do think would be pretty neat is having them showcased on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then having them spawn out of that into their own feature film. Imagine if that's the way they go.
I think
Wouldn't that be cool?
I mean, I haven't watched season 2 yet. I have
a whole new group
friends who do watch it, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing!" So it's a season 2 right now is on Netflix. If you want to check it out, you can see what's going on, see if it has any correlation with things that are going on right now.
Well, do they pop up in season 2 or season 3 that's coming up? Or?
No, from what I've heard, season 2 is pretty much has everything to do with Inhumans.
Okay.
So I don't know if how they're popping up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is how they're popping up in the comics. If they're bringing up new characters. I imagine that they're establishing a lot of new characters that aren't in the books that will end up becoming in the books because that's the power that that television has as a medium now, is that it garnishes enough popularity that certain characters will transfer over to the books. Like Phil Coulson, who's one of the main characters in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah, that's a perfect example.
A sub-character in a lot of the Marvel Phase 1 films, such as Iron Man 1, Iron Man... Well, actually, I think he popped up in... Yeah, he was at the end of Iron
Mans.
He was at the end of Iron Man 1. He has a role in Iron Man 2. He shows up in the original Thor, the first Thor movie, and then he makes an appearance in the first Avengers movie where we think he dies, but then it turns up he comes back, and then now we're mainly seeing him on television.
And due to all those on-screen exposures of the character, he's made a fantastic character in the books as well.
Yeah, I believe he's popped up in, some of the X-Men books. Real briefly, he has definitely shown up in the Deadpool books.
Oh, yeah, you played a big role in that.
And I believe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually a book that Marvel is offering, and then it's just part of the actual comic continuity.
Right.
So I don't know, I just haven't read it, but I know Phil Coulson is definitely going to be in that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, good stuff here today. So that's about all we know right now about Phase 3. A lot of hearsay, a lot of fact, too, though. And, just a lot of really cool stuff to look forward to. You got a whole new team of fighting heroes in the Inhumans that they're going to be bringing about. Maybe that's how they start Phase 4. Who knows? Also, new additions to the cinematic universe, such as Black Panther, Captain Marvel, a new Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and all of this is just going to lead up to a giant Infinity War 2-part motion picture event that I just can't wait for. It's just going to be so much fun. Gentlemen, I think we've done a good job of covering this today. Nathan Burke of Hotcast Studios. It has been a real pleasure having you on board the show this week.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, anytime. Once again,
it's been fun.
If you're looking to do your own podcast, contact Nathan Burke of Hotcast Studios. He is at nburke18 at gmail.com.
Or just contact me on Twitter at I am Nathan Burke or at Hotcast Studio.
And you could have your very own podcast for a reasonable price and be able to take advantage of some of this excellent equipment that Nathan has at his studio. So with that being said, I am Andrew Puzak of Vigilant Geek Media.
I am HOLDEN of Vigilant Geek Media.
And this is Nathan Burke, New England comic and owner and operator of Hotcast Studios.
That's right.
And we are signing off. Thanks a lot for listening, and stay vigilant.